Welcome everyone to my review of IDW Sonic issue 67. As you can see, the issue marks the return of the powerful imposters Surge the Tenrec and Kit the Fennec. Before I continue, if you are new to the channel and like what you see here, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. Alright, from this point forward, there will be spoilers. The last time we saw Surge and Kit was back in issue 56. Chances are some of you might need a reminder of who they are. Plus, there are probably some newcomers to the channel who want to know more about them. Now, I have talked a lot about these two in my reviews of the Imposter Syndrome miniseries, the events surrounding issue 50, and the Overpowered arc, so I won't go into too much detail here. If you want to know more about them in greater detail, I'd recommend checking out those videos. What I'm about to give you is a more condensed version of their history. Surge the Tenrec and Kitsunami Kit the Fennec were the results of former Eggman fanboy Dr. Starline taking two random individuals and modifying them to be knockoff versions of Sonic and Tails. Said modifications include cybernetics, genetic manipulation, and tons of brainwashing sessions to cement their new personalities. Eventually they learned the truth, and with Starline leaving no trace of their original identities, the two decided to burn everything into the ground, starting with the targets they were made for, Sonic, Tails, and Eggman. The first conflict at Eggperial City ended badly for them, with Starline ending up dead, Kit briefly taken in by the heroes, and Surge wanting more power. She stole a device meant to harness the power of wisps, and after capturing Whispers, she used that power in an unorthodox method. It all came to a head at the place that Starline made them, Starline Base Sigma. Surge was very close to killing Sonic, only for the device to break at a key moment. Kit then took the unconscious Surge, collapsed the area, and disappeared to parts unknown. Until today. Sonic zips by Amy in the Restorations Mall, and is surprised and confused to find her chatting with Surge and Kit. Wasting no time, are we, comic? Amy knows who they are, and tells Sonic Surge and Kit just waltzed right in, looking to turn their lives around. Surge even brings up the previous time Sonic offered her that chance, and after their last fight, she's ready to take them up on the offer. Yep, they're ready to go legit, no strings attached. Ah, who am I kidding? There's an ulterior motive behind this. We'll get to it later. Sonic and Amy give Surge and Kit a tour, while also keeping a close eye on them. One stop on the tour is the Restoration Supply Depot. Not only does it supply things for the people in the Restoration, supplies there are also organized to be sent to anywhere in the world. Speaking of world stuff, the group spots Silver and Blaze, the former holding a large shipping container with ease. Surge's reaction to Silver's power is priceless. During their world tour, Silver and Blaze got word that Missouri had a bad crop season, so they're briefly stopping by to pick up the stuff the region needs. Blaze notices Surge, and Sonic makes with the introductions, while adding that she tried to kill him a couple of times. Surge learns that Sonic was serious about fighting a number of people that would later become his friends. Sonic made this comment back in issue 50, but apparently Surge thought Sonic was joking then. He wasn't, my dear. Sonic went up against Blaze during the events of Sonic Rush, and Silver at some point, probably during Sonic Rivals or Sonic Generations. I'm not counting Sonic 06 because those events no longer exist. And then there were the multiple fights between Knuckles and Shadow. Surge believes that by fighting Sonic, she considers herself an honorary member of the Restoration. Amy has to clarify that the Restoration is a volunteer movement. People can come and go at any time. And if Surge and Kit don't like the place, they aren't forced to stay. They can choose to leave if they want to. The fact that Amy makes it clear that it's their choice causes Surge to ponder for a bit. The next stop on the tour is the machine shop. When the subject of Kit being a tech whiz is brought up, the boss tries to welcome him, but is met with a constant death glare. Belle the Tinkerer, who's at the shop, panics when she recognizes them. Sonic and Amy explain they're starting over at the Restoration. Belle points out they were made by Starline, but Sonic counters that Gemerald and Omega were made by Eggman, and they're on their side now. Surge recognizes Whisper's Wispin as the thing she smashed not too long ago. Belle says she has since repaired it. She's just giving it a bit of fine-tuning before returning it to Whisper. That's when Sonic gets the idea to make some more introductions. Something Amy's a bit nervous about, and for good reason. Once again, the comic just has to let poor Whisper suffer. Not only is she unknowingly hanging out with the guy who practically destroyed the old Diamond Cutters, but now the person who stole the living remnants of her old team for her own gain is walking up to her alongside Sonic and Amy. Sonic brings up the idea of Surge and Kit joining the new Diamond Cutters. The team considers giving the two a chance, except Whisper. She doesn't trust them and never will. This pleases Surge. She knows exactly what Whisper wants to do to her, and she respects that. Enough for her and Kit to join them. As the tour wraps up, Surge says the restoration is a nice place. It'd be a real shame if someone were to burn it to the ground. Sonic then makes a subtle threat by saying it would be a bigger shame to see what happens to said someone. Duo arrives to lead Surge and Kit towards their new rooms, and the three leave. Amy wonders if Sonic is sure about giving Surge and Kit another chance. He is doubtful, but his experience on Scrapnik Island makes him more open to give it a shot. Surge and Kit did have their lives stolen by Starline, so this is their chance to make new and better ones. Chances are this will blow up in their face, because now it's time to reveal that ulterior motive I mentioned earlier. Duo brings Surge and Kit to their new room, and that's when he changes back into Mimic, while stating that Clutch told him to make contact with them. Yep, the three are in this together. There's actually a flashback segment earlier in the issue explaining how Surge and Kit became involved with Mimic's current boss. Remember when Kit wrecked Starline Base Sigma while he and Surge retreated to parts unknown? Well, it turns out Kit wrecked only a portion of the base. They just ended up hiding in another part. They couldn't stay where they are for much longer because the place is collapsing and the food is rotting. And there's no place in the outside world for the likes of them. That's when some robots arrive. Thinking Eggman's here to finish the job, they proceed to trash them until two individuals overlooking the robots told them to stop. Rough and tumble. Nice try, guys, but you're dealing with a pair of powerful villains who need to blow off some steam. The fight is stopped when Clutch arrives. He thought the base was abandoned and came to salvage whatever tech was lying around. He introduces himself the same way as Mimic. He's the head of Clean Sweep Inc., and they take discard Eggman tech publicly, but privately resell that tech to Eggman and other interested parties. One of those parties just happened to be the late Dr. Starline. That would make sense. Starline probably needed stuff he couldn't get at Starline Base Sigma, and he couldn't simply just waltz right up to Eggman and take it. It would also explain why he was in the same area as Clutch during the events of Chow Races and Badnik bases. This means Clutch knows about Surge and Kit. He makes the following proposal. They help him remove the restoration as a competitor, and in exchange, he'll give them the one thing they desire most: any information regarding their previous lives. An opportunity like this doesn't come around often, so naturally, they accept. Which brings us to the present. The plan for the moment is for Surge and Kit to play nice with everyone. With eyes on them, no one will pay much attention to Mimic. When the time is right, they'll cause mayhem, Clutch will take advantage of the situation, and they'll scram. And that's where the issue ends. For the longest time, I didn't understand Clutch's goal. He wants the restoration gone, but then he forms a partnership with them. It was during the flashback segment, with Clutch mentioning hostile takeover, that things started to click for me. For those not business savvy, myself included, I had to do some research. A hostile takeover, to put it simply, is when one company takes control of a second company without the second company's consent. Clutch sees the restoration as a threat to his business, as they do the same thing Clean Sweep Inc. does, removing discarded Eggman tech. The difference is, the restoration does it for free, and destroys it while Clean Sweep Inc. secretly resells the tech to any interested parties. If he owns the restoration, it could not only expand his business, it would get rid of the competition. Instead of employing takeover strategies like buying controlling shares, Clutch sends 3 psychopaths to cause internal damage to the place. What might happen in the aftermath is Jewel probably begging Clutch for help to get the restoration back on its feet, and in exchange, or during this, he will pretty much take over and administer his own policies, and the restoration as the heroes know it will be gone. I believe this is why we're seeing some of the restoration's operations in this issue, because as things stand, Clutch will succeed in the takeover and do a bit of restructuring / dismantling. There is a tiny bit of hope. Remember what I said last time about Amy possibly exposing Clutch? Well, the reason Amy's visiting the restoration in this issue is because she's helping Jewel with paperwork related to Clean Sweep Inc. So unless Clutch withheld his name or gave Jewel a false one, the moment she tells Amy about Clutch, the wheels might start turning in her head. Heck, the mere description of Jewel's new business partner may be enough for Amy to warn Jewel. That is, if the writers go down this route. I suppose this is one reason why Clutch sent in the psychos, to prepare for this possibility. Funny that 2 of the psychopaths Clutch employed have hurt Whisper in some manner. Though having the more loudmouth and energetic one keeping Whisper's attention while the sneakier one does his thing is brilliant. I bet that's one of the reasons Clutch placed Surge and Kit within the restoration. Mimic was close to being busted, but he managed to recover. This time. That and the heroic characters were acting pretty stupid during those events, but we'll move past that for now. Mimic and Clutch just want to make sure there is no next time. Quick note, Twitter user, yes I'm still calling it that, Virtuous, has pointed out that Mimic's duo form resembles an off-colored version of deceased Diamond Cutter team member Slinger the Ocelot. If that's the case, it's another knife twister that Mimic would pervert the memory of Whisper's colleague right in front of her. Now let's switch over to Clutch's new lackeys. Surge and Kit accepting the offer may seem quick, but the 2 have nowhere else to go. This would be the perfect opportunity to wreck everything Sonic and his friends hold dear, and there is the promise of learning their mysterious past. Somehow, I doubt Clutch will keep his word. He's just going to use them to get what he wants, then dispose of them. Though I would be surprised if he does share what he knows about their former selves. Just as I'm surprised to see Rough and Tumble still working for Clutch. You could say this flashback was set up before the Dinner at Cream's story, but I see a possible plot hole. Let me explain. In the Cream story, it was implied that Clutch fired the 2 after losing all those weapons in issue 48, and they had to resort to petty theft to survive. And one of those targets was the Rabbit House. Those events take place at the same time Knuckles and the Chaotix were dealing with the Babylon Rogues, which itself was a distraction so that Clutch and Jewel can conduct business away from suspicious eyes. In the Surge and Kit flashback, when Clutch was explaining his hostile takeover plan, there is a panel of the exact moment he and Jewel made the deal from the previous issue. And also in the flashback, Rough and Tumble were present at the salvage site, still under Clutch's employment. I should note that Ian Flynn wrote this story and the Knuckles / Chaotix story of the previous 2 issues, and Evan Stanley wrote the Cream Dinner story. While they're generally good at coordinating their writing efforts, this is one of the times they goofed. It'll probably be patched up along the way. Going back to the possible end of the restoration, if it does happen, chances are Sonic and Amy would take the blame and would more than likely feel guilty. Now to be fair, they weren't trustful of Surge and Kit's presence. But Sonic is willing to give them a shot this time. That win on Scrapnik Island with Mecha Sonic was a big factor in this decision. I hope it doesn't go to his head. Although, Sonic did threaten Surge with retaliation should she decide to cause chaos within the restoration. While he may not be around all the time, one quick call, and Sonic will arrive in no time, like how he did during the incident with the Deadly Six. Unless Mimic sabotages communications. Amy being kind, and constantly bringing up the idea of choice, seems to affect Surge a little. For most of her altered existence, she's been a slave to Starline's machinations. Even after going rogue, his death didn't matter. She was still following his design in some manner. Surge's reaction to Amy flat out saying she doesn't have to do anything she or Kit don't want to, says it all. Maybe Surge's mind is rebelling against her conditioning more and more. After all, it took multiple hypno sessions to get Surge's current personality. I don't know if this moment will lead to anything, but I like to imagine it does. I mean, this panel right here has to be there for a reason. Let's switch over to her partner in crime for a moment. Kit was in pure, I'm going to kill someone if they look at me funny mode during his time in Restoration HQ. The enthusiastic / nervous persona is all but gone at this point, though he's still a slave to his conditioning. supporting Surge and having Tails as his primary target. On a more lighthearted note, there were a couple ship teases in the issue, with Silver and Blaze holding hands, and Sonic making dinner plans with Amy. I wonder if it's the comic staff's idea to add these nods. One thing's for sure, it'll make certain fans happy. In a way, this issue is an epilogue/coda to the Misadventures arc. That whole saga, while lighthearted, had the sinister element of Clutch making preparations to take care of the Restoration through shady business deals and infiltrators. Somehow, I believe the setup for this plot is complete. The big event won't happen for a while, as the next issue will feature a Sonic and Tails adventure. Then the main comic will go on a bit of a hiatus for a few months to make room for a Fang the Hunter miniseries. And with that, have a good day everyone. Fun fact, prior to issue 67's release, the mobile games Sonic Forces and Sonic Dash made Surge the Teneric a playable character, provided you've collected enough cards to unlock her. This makes her the third IDW comic character after Tangle and Whisper to appear in a game. No Kit the Finnick for some reason. Poor guy can't catch a break.